I would like to welcome to the show from Extract It, Ryan, and of course his parents, Roger and Candace. How are we all doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Doing great.
Excited to chat about the show. I've really kind of loved this show. It's such a unique experience, like we've never really seen because of the not the survival aspect. No offense to what Ryan went out there and endured, but the headquarter aspect of the show is definitely unique to what we've seen on past reality shows. But Ryan, let's start from the beginning, right? Where did the idea come from to be on Extracted?
I was actually reached out to. I've had a casting agent reach out to me for the last couple years. Just kind of. I can't actually remember why or when the first time was, but this was my third or fourth show that I've went through the casting process for, and I just when he presented this one to me, I just thought it sounded cool. I mean, family of three, new survival shows. So I was like, let's do it, guys. I had no idea we were going to make it on there.
Absolutely. So, Roger, Candace, whoever wants to take with this one first is fine. What's that conversation like with Ryan where he's like, "Hey guys, I am going to do this, but also you're going to be joining me along for the ride."
Well, for me, I was all for it. Now, I was a little skeptical for my wife because I knew, she's a lot more soft hearted than I am. So, but she fell for it after it was all over with.
Candace, did it take you some convincing there, or what were your thoughts about it?
Yeah, they kind of walked me through it, and I many times I said, "Are you sure I can do this?" But when we got picked, I will tell you, Ricky, I told them both, Dad's going to take the lead on this. I'm just going to be the big support because that's what I know how to do. So, and I did.
Speaking of that, Candace, I'll follow that up. What's it kind of like in that headquarters? Because you're not watching it from the perspective of like, oh, this is a year later. We're finally watching it. You're watching it live as it happens. Take us through that mindset of kind of watching your son endure these grueling conditions.
Well, like I've said in every interview, when I went into this relying on my faith to get me through because I couldn't be the mama. I couldn't help. I couldn't touch. I couldn't make it better. So I had to be strong. And Roger supported me in that. There's a couple times he said, "We're going to get through this. We're going to do it." And, watching it back live, it's, we met some wonderful people, but you get to know them a lot better when you're watching it live and seeing how they are. So.
When there's money on the line, the game does change. And Ryan, to you, you did last quite a while. You know what I mean? And from a viewer's perspective, we're only seeing obviously a glimpse of what you went through, right? You know what I mean? We're getting an hour a week from that. Take us
Right.
behind how maybe you put one foot in front of the other as each day was going on.
Um, well, just going into it, with it being the first season, and not a show like Survivor where you know what you're getting into before you go out there. As a amateur survivalist, I really had no idea to what condition it was going to be. I didn't know if we were going to be with people. I didn't know if we were going to have bits of food. I didn't know if we were going to have a tent. I didn't know. So when we got dropped off in that helicopter and I went through the first night, just the just how dark it was, how cold it was, and I think for everybody, I think you could tell from the early survivalists that left, just how real it was and how fast it set in. And, here in North Carolina, it was the end of August when we left and September when we filmed, and it was in the high 90s here. And when we got there, um, I mean, it was very quickly in the high 30s to 50s on the regular, and that was huge. Coming from our summer to that, um, it did not feel like 40 degrees outside. I mean, when you went to bed at night, you literally I mean, I couldn't feel my hands, I couldn't feel my feet. I mean, just for hours every single morning until the sun came out and I would thaw out. And some days the sun never came out. It rained. It was just wet all the time. Um, it was it was a lot more gruesome, like you said. I mean, you get to see an hour every day, and it was extremely gruesome every single day. I mean, it was hard to make a fire because everything was wet, so you couldn't really get warm. Um, obviously the food was very limited, and that played a role mentally into just wanting to give up all the time. And I've never had to overcome that before, so it definitely put my physical and my mental abilities to the test for sure. And I mean, I think I endured it pretty well for what limited resources I had, and I mean for how long I made it.
I don't remember the exact day count, but about 15 minutes into the show, I would have already been gone. So, I mean, you lasted way longer than I think I would have.
Yeah, 14 days.
14, exactly. So, yeah, I would have maybe lasted 14 minutes. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, and time moves at the pace of a snail when you're out there.
Right? You're probably watching it back and you're probably like, man, that was like 15 hours in 1 hour for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, man, that just went from 6:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. in just a split second.
Absolutely. Yeah, Roger, to you, I'd like to get your thoughts, right? The headquarters was interesting, but as you go into the supply rooms, early on, it's like, oh, cool. I'm getting my boy some supplies. But then as as the game progresses, it's like, I'm gonna get some supplies, but he might not get the supplies. What was that process like? Obviously, it's a game within a game, and that's obviously what makes it more interesting. But take us behind that.
Well, first of all, we kind of dropped the ball on him early in the first supply drop. He did get the main essential of a sleeping bag, which was his lifesaver. And they really, I'm not going to bash them, but they didn't give us the exact what I really put in the box. They made me take out a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, he got his sleeping bag and a canteen and a water, I think. And
Yeah.
so I felt bad at first, but I looked at her and I'm going like, he really has no idea that he's getting anything. So he'll be appreciative with that. And little did I know that he was going to suffer on several supply drops throughout the show. And he failed on a couple challenges and that hurt him. So he struggled, and it made us struggle watching him. So we should have probably built alliances earlier, and we were kind of doing our own thing, and he's the one that had to do the suffering early on. So I mean, he was the tough one in it, being that we failed him in several of the supply drop challenges, on HQ side, but in the end it worked out, and
I made it as far as we did.
It is what it is, it just
Yeah,
it worked out for him in the end.
Yeah, for sure. And Ryan, not the interesting, probably the bad element, but the element of those supply drops, opening crates, not having things, what's that feeling like? You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine being like wasting all that energy, because that's the big thing that we see. We see all that energy it takes for you guys to get to those crates, and then you open it up and it's like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? Like, what's going through your head in those moments?
Well, you hear Woody talk about it a few times, having to walk down there and get it just to come back with nothing. It exerted energy. And it did. The longer I went, I mean, I could walk down to the lake and back, and I would be breathing hard, and I mean, that's just not like me. So it just goes to show you how dehydrated and malnourished you were. So it took a lot out of you to go get those crates, and you'd open them up and nothing would be in them. But we had no clue what was going on at HQ. So we didn't know the reason why we were getting empty supply crates. You know, I mean, we didn't know if it was because they lost a challenge, if nobody liked them, if I mean, we had no idea, you know. So I really, I mean, I never got upset about it. I mean, it sucked, obviously, but I mean, there was nothing I could do, so I just kept surviving. And I mean, it is. I mean, it's make it or break it in a lot of those supply drops, and ultimately, I think that's the reason why. I mean, I didn't make it to the very end. So, uh, yeah, I mean that was. I mean, I didn't, you know, like I said, I didn't have no feeling of disgust or hate or anything like that. I just kept going. You know, I'd open it and be like, dang, just keep going.
For sure. Kenneth, when you look back through your time on Extracted and you know, through that process, what's something you look back on and was maybe your favorite moment on the show?
Well, for me, I guess one of my favorite moments was, well, I was so proud to be there representing Ryan. But I say that people are in our lives for a season, for a reason. So, you know, I shared a month of my life sequestered with people I never knew that became my family by the time, you know, I left. And you can never replace those memories at all. But you also can't replace the fact that you did this awesome experience with your son. And that will forever be, you know, the thing is, he was so tough, and I know that he could have won it, but I'm not disappointed in how well he did do. I'm proud of us. So,
Yeah, I mean, to make it this far, first season, the balance of that, Ryan, obviously we see, you know, there's the moment that happens, you open that crate and everything that was going to unfold there. And obviously we have you, you know, kind of say, I'm going to pull the trigger here. And you know, they pull you out of the game. What's kind of going through your mind? You knew in that moment that you weren't going to be able to survive without the supplies, right?
So I had just got the tarp. I don't know. I don't know if they show it or not, but I just got the tarp that they had took from Jake, and I was like, man, I finally got a tarp after 2 weeks, you know. And I put this tarp on my shelter, and I mean, I did. I said to myself, I was like, I don't need food, I just need water. I'm good. I'm going to the end, you know. Like I done made my mind up, and you know, I'm getting ready to go to bed that night, and I opened that box up. We got that supply drop, and I opened that box up, and I'm just like, my heart just went through my stomach, because when I read that I had to give up my sleeping bag, I mean, I had to process it for a minute, and I was like, man, this is bad, you know. And because that sleeping bag, I mean, out of the limited stuff that I had, that sleeping bag was my saving grace with how cold it was, and um and how wet I'd been. You know what I mean? So it was a sleeping bag, a canteen of water, I think the propane stove, and
emergency blanket.
emergency blanket, yeah. And no, it was the tarp. It was the tarp.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so as I'm walking back down to the lake to put that supply crate back down there, I was thinking the whole way, like, do I want to tough this out? Like, what do I want to do? And I pretty much told myself right then, I was like, I'm not, it's 30 some degrees out here. I'm not about to shake and shiver all night long, you know, for the next 4 or 5 days. I mean, I wasn't going to do it. I mean, it was absolutely miserable with the sleeping bag. So, that was it. That was my breaking point. And I mean, I tried my best to be tough with the limited stuff that I had, but that right there was that was the deal breaker for sure. So I mean, that's when I looked at the camera and was like, just pull me out, guys. I'm not going through this.
Had the icing on the cake.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, that's my time. Thank you so much, Ryan. I mean, obviously 14 days in those conditions, a hell of a job. And thank you guys so much for your time today.